Hey everyone, and welcome to yet another video. Finally, I made it to another video, huh? And this one is going to be about words. And I know what you're thinking. A video about words. So you're going to say words about words. What can a video really be about when the subject is words? Well, a lot actually. And it's interesting because words are just that. They're words. When they're spoken, they're a sound. When they're written, they're an image. And if we take it as in an image, it's probably impossible to find 50 random people and you show them like a painting and everyone will like them the same. If you take 25 people randomly and you show them a painting, it's probably impossible they will all like it the same. If you find 10 random people and you show them a picture, they'll probably don't like it the same. If you find 5 random people, maybe even 2 random people, you'll have a hard time finding people who like the exact same picture the same. Same for a song. And even though as we narrow things and we get out of the artistical side of things still remain pretty subjective. And I think as we go on, things are even more subjective when it comes to words and their meaning. Obviously, it's easy for us to say, don't let words get to you. What's the worst thing that can happen? You're not being physically harmed. But obviously, it's not, in practice, it's not that easy. We have feelings, we have thoughts, and it's hard to control them. We don't wear a poker face every time, and we feel and we think. But that's normal as humans. But what I think is happening, which I don't think is that normal, is us putting too much weight on words that don't have that weight. I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, but I thought about it and I wanted to talk a bit about it, which is I even don't know if I'm necessarily using the correct terms, but gender dysmorphia. I don't know if that's the right word, but basically when someone feels offended being identified with a gender. The whole story of what are your pronouns and things of that nature. What I see is, and I'm describing usually the usual behavior of people who don't like to be identified as a specific gender, and will lash out against who might use the commonly used terms, male, female, man, woman. I see that they, feel offended, feel trapped in a box. They don't want to be defined as such, which in a broader sense does make sense. You want to control what you are known for. You have the right to be treated, with respect. But I think when we get into the gender things, I think we probably overreact on the subject. What I mean by that, no matter someone's beliefs, we are, children of nature. We have been given a life to live, and we've been given it in a certain vessel, a certain form, a human form, which has anatomical differences. So, both genders can procreate and advance their species. This was my way of trying to define human and male and female. I, if you all notice, I spoke nothing of character. I spoke nothing of uh, individual identity, nothing of values or beliefs, and with the exception of a spectrum of physical appearance and anatomical features, body features, nothing really limiting. So why care so much about being identified or not as a man or woman? You know, uh, why should that in a democratic, free society hold any weight or be such a touchy subject? If we were in, let's say, a country that devalues a certain gender, and I know that there's arguments that that happens everywhere, but I'm talking a more in a strict way, in a law slash customs way, where it's clear that there's gender discrimination. Uh, but I mean, in society where that's not the norm, why does it hold weight to be a man or a woman? Why should someone not want to be boxed in as if that limitates something? Like I feel I'm a man, uh, but I'm not made in an assembly line. Not all men are equal, contrary to what some people might think, and not all women are equal. And it's just a way. It's just something to identify us visually. Really, it doesn't hold any value. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you can't do X, Y, and Z, and just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't do X, Y, and Z. And I feel like people put so much meaning into these words, the genders, that they feel like if they are identified as a gender, that comes with any extra weight of them not being able to do what they want, express themselves how they want. You can be a man and dress however you want, like whatever you want. And maybe you can say you can't go to the bathroom you want, but is that even really an issue? Maybe in sports you can only compete with people your own gender, but that has a purpose. So I find it fascinating how so many people are uh, giving into this urge to add such weight to words that don't really have it. You know, uh, I don't want to. I acknowledge I'm a man, but I'm my own self. That's not the primary thing that jumps up to people who know me. Oh, he's a guy. Like 50% of people are one gender for the most part. Uh, Basically, it's not about what you are, is who you are. And I think that people are placing too much an idea on what you are. And I feel like I don't know if that necessarily correlates with social media era or a big online presence, because I feel like those platforms value what you are and not who you are, because you really don't have the chance to know who someone is unless you are with them, or unless someone is very open about what their thoughts and their beliefs and behaviors are. But in an era of IG where you might see a 15-second reel or a picture, you don't see who the person is, you see what the person is, and that's very different. And I think that people are putting too much weight on what they are and not who they are. For once, I think that individuality and focus on the individual is much more important than uh, not letting us be categorized by uh, a gender. Yeah, a gender. So I know this video doesn't sound like the typical. I don't have the answer to these questions. It kind of seems like I do. Obviously, I don't. Everyone is different, and everyone has the right to, uh, again, like I said before, be how they want to be. Uh, I do think that some movements try to force their beliefs onto each other, and uh, that used to be a common problem with other things, like religion or beliefs, uh, lifestyles, even in the fitness industry. Some time ago, it seemed like the hin thing was someone being very preachy, very outspoken about people who don't exercise, as if they were of a lesser breed. Um, so I do think that this gender thing is probably going to be a bit of a trend. Not as in that people don't have the right to identify themselves or, uh, again, be how they want to be. It's just the forcing it on others' part. And I think I don't think there's anything wrong with us identifying our limitations as humans and how we are born and to which body we are born into. Again, if you can do whatever you want with your body. I'm not saying I'm against it. Again, all that I'm saying is that I'm against pushing the idea that you gotta have a crystal ball to know what this person has to as their is what they identified as, and or that you have to use such politically correct terms that are as broad as possible. Like let's just imagine that we stop calling ourselves anything besides human. And even that, even some people seem to not want to identify as human beings. So it's kind of like you can't win the game, you know. This video is kind of going a bit over the usual, but I think I made my point. It could all be summarized as focus on who you are, not what you are. Is that easy to do? I don't have the answers to that or many other questions.